Well, I made the main argument for the book based on the presence of functionally specified digital code in DNA. And that to me is mysterious enough. But as we've learned more and more about how information is stored and processed in the DNA, we've come to some remarkable insights about what's going on inside life. I have a colleague who is a former architect-level programmer at Microsoft, a really brilliant guy. And he's written thousands of lines of code in helping us produce a simulation of how information is expressed inside the cell. It's called stylus, and it's an amazing way to study life in a computer domain. But as he was learning molecular biology in order to write the code to simulate it, he came into my office one day and he threw a software programming textbook on my desk. It was called Design Patterns. And he said, I'm getting an eerie feeling that someone has figured all this out before us. And I said, what do you mean? He said, well, as I'm studying the molecular biology, I'm seeing very sophisticated design strategies. That's what computer programmers call them. A design strategy is a functional logic or a way of solving a problem, especially a problem related to the processing of information. And you have things like error correction and data retrieval and hierarchical arrangement and storage of information. And my colleague started to tell me about all these different design patterns, design strategies that computer scientists use. And he says, what I'm seeing inside the cell are applications of those same design strategies, only it's like, he says, we're looking at an 8.0, 9.0, 10.0 version of the same kind of design logic that we've come to. And he says, that's why it gives me this feeling that somebody else figured this out before us, only I'm getting the feeling that maybe this programmer was even smarter than we are. So it's a really, kind of an interesting reaction he had to seeing this. He's having a déjà vu, an aha moment. And what he's really doing is he's doing a form of pattern recognition. He's seeing, hey, here's a sophisticated way of solving a design problem. It has certain kinds of features that are discernible to an engineer. And wow, bam, I see exactly that same kind of pattern inside life. I see it in the computer domain. But if anything, I'm seeing a more sophisticated, more elegant execution of that same strategy inside life. So what I argue in the book is there are a number of these design patterns that you can identify, characterize, and when you think about them in a rigorous way, and you think, okay, what do we know causes that kind of feature? Well, that hallmark, that characteristic of life, what do we know about the causes of that particular feature? And again, what we find is that the cause of those particular features of the information processing system are known to be produced by one and only one type of cause, and that cause is intelligence. Let me give you an example of some of the stuff that people are finding. It's not just the linear array of digital code, it's the way that the information is stored and processed. Inside the cell, we no longer think of the gene as just a section of code. There are data modules that are stored in different places, either in the genome or sometimes even on other chromosomes. And what the non-coding regions of the genome do is they function, the non-coding regions of the genome function much like an operating system in a computer, and it goes out and finds those different data modules and then concatenates them, puts them together into a seamless gene product, which then goes and tells the ribosome how to build the protein. Now, it turns out we use exactly the same kind of data storage and retrieval system inside computer software. And it is the operating system that goes out and finds those data modules, puts them together, and into a coherent file, which then is used for some other function. So we're seeing really similar forms of data processing, data management, data retrieval inside the DNA and inside the cell as a whole, and inside the software and hardware domain. And we know in the one case that the software and hardware in the computer domain is definitely the product of intelligence, which leads you to suspect, at least, that these other aspects of the information processing system of the cell are also the result of intelligent agency.